Tonight, we're exploring dreams that remember what you've forgotten. Outside your window, the world slows, barely moving. Inside, something quieter stirs. You can almost hear the hush, the kind of silence that isn't empty, but waiting, like a room where something has just left, or maybe never quite arrived. Your pillow presses gently against your cheek. The warmth of your blanket is familiar, but it's not what you're paying attention to. Not really. Your thoughts, already soft around the edges, begin to rearrange themselves without asking. A faint flicker behind your eyes suggests that something deeper is opening. You're not quite here anymore, not quite there either. You're in the in-between. You probably won't survive this world unchanged. But that's the point. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you enjoy quiet stories like this. And if you're still awake, let us know where you're listening from. What time is it where you are? Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. There's a door beneath your pillow, not the kind that creaks or opens outward, but the sort you sink through slowly, like sand giving way under bare feet. You don't always notice it. Most nights, you drift right past without stepping through. But not tonight. Tonight, something's waiting behind it. A shape, maybe, or a feeling you thought you'd lost. It's not urgent. It never is. This door doesn't shout. It just rests there, soft and half-formed, until you lean into it and fall. You find yourself walking through a narrow hallway. The walls here don't have paint or paper. They shimmer with movement like layers of smoke. Pressed between glass, shadows flit across them. Some shaped like people you don't remember meeting. Others feel more like emotions that never got words. Each step makes the air feel thicker, not heavier, just more significant, like you're moving deeper into the folds of your own mind. There's a name right on the tip of your consciousness, but you can't quite grasp it. Yes, all right. The door beneath the pillow wasn't meant to give you answers, only paths. Scientists who study dreams sometimes call this threshold the hypnagogic state. The moment between wakefulness and sleep, when the brain is still, tethered to reality but already slipping into dream logic. It's when the world starts to bend, when sounds turn into images and memories melt into each other without your permission. Some say it's the brain's version of sketching rough outlines of thoughts being tested before the full dream unfolds. You glance behind you. The hallway has disappeared. You don't panic. That's just how dreams work. They only hold form for as long as your attention does. The ground underfoot now feels like velvet moss, soft and quiet. It stretches out into a gentle hill, and you follow it without question. The sky is a murky violet, with no sun and no stars, just a slow internal glow, as if lit by memory. A sound draws your attention, not music, exactly, more like the hush of pages turning in another room. You move toward it. There's a house on the hill, not one you recognize. yet your body responds to it with the quiet certainty of déjà vu. A forgotten summer afternoon. A book you read a long time ago. A song that played during a thunderstorm. The front door is ajar. You step inside. The air smells faintly of dried flowers and something older. The way old books carry the scent of dust and thought. Every surface is lined with shelves, but the books are blank, not empty, just waiting. You run your fingers along their spines and feel a pulse like heartbeats. One of the books slips from the shelf and lands open on the floor. The page shows a place you've never been, but you know how it feels. You know the weight of the air, the sound of the wind through those trees. You might have dreamt it once, or maybe it dreamt of you. There's a concept in psychology called cryptomnesia, when a memory returns, but you mistake it for something new. A forgotten thought dressed in different clothes. It makes you wonder how much of what you think is original is really just something remembered too long ago to trace. Some researchers believe that dreams might be the place where cryptomnesia lives, a sandbox for untagged memories, free to recombine and whisper to you in new forms. The book fades from your hands. The house shifts. Now you're in a room where the walls breathe slightly. The ceiling is too high to see. There's a bed in the center, identical to your own, but not. You lie down in it, and the sensation is strange, like folding into a version of yourself you don't quite remember. Being a childhood nap, a teenage fever dream, a moment from a future that hasn't happened. An object rests beside the pillow. It's small, smooth, a marble perhaps, or a seed. As you hold it, a memory stirs, not fully formed, just an image. A hand reaching out, a laugh, a door closing. You don't know when or where it came from, but it knows you. Some dreams do that. They remember what you've forgotten, but not in a way you can retrieve, catalog, or explain. Not directly. They just reintroduce the echo and wait for you to listen. And here's the eerie part. There are documented cases of people who dream details of languages they no longer speak, childhood homes they haven't seen in decades, of loved ones whose faces they can't recall while awake, but whose voices still visit them in sleep, as if the mind refuses to lose everything, as if forgetting isn't always final. You lie there in the bed that isn't your bed, holding something that might have once been important. The house hums softly around you. The air flickers with possibilities. Outside, the wind carries no sound, just movement. It brushes against the windows like it's trying to remind them of something. And you, dreamer, are already drifting. The library rebuilds itself while you're not looking. You didn't notice the walls rearrange. You didn't hear the books shifting on their shelves, binding and unbinding themselves. But now the room is different, deeper, taller. The ceiling, once lost in shadow, has vanished altogether, replaced by a twilight sky that stretches far beyond the library's roof. Press. Still, everything feels contained, intimate even. like the hush inside a snow globe. Just before it's shaken, you begin walking again. The floor beneath your feet is no longer moss. It's paper, thick, soft pages, stitched edge to edge, whispering. Under each step, a pathway built from unwritten stories. Some of them may be yours. Some of them may be pieces of dreams you've already forgotten. Somewhere behind you, something closes. A quiet latch. A memory deciding it's no longer ready to be seen. It doesn't startle you. In dreams, things come and go the way thoughts do, with little explanation, with a logic all their own. Up ahead, the library opens into a new chamber. This one is made entirely of staircases spiraling, shifting, some half-built and others dissolving as they rise. You instinctively know not to look down, not out of fear, but because in this space, direction is meaningless. These stairs don't lead upward or downward. They lead inward. You follow the nearest staircase as it slowly bends around itself. The banister pulses with warmth like a living vine. As you climb, you pass objects embedded in the walls. Relics, maybe, from your own past. A rusted house key, a broken pencil, a faded ribbon, still holding the scent of spring. And then, suddenly, there's a room. It doesn't appear so much as reveal itself. A wide, circular space, lined with desks. Each desk holds an open book and a small, flickering light. No people, just the sense that someone has only just stepped away. You move to one of the desks. The book in front of you is filled with handwriting, but not the neat, orderly kind. This writing looks like it's been scratched in by someone in a dream, and yet you recognize it. It's yours, from another version of you. From a time before memory had structured out, you touch the page. A pulse of warmth spreads through your fingertips. And suddenly, a fragment surfaces, a single scene. You are 5 years old, sitting in a room with blue walls. You're drawing something, but you don't remember what. A radio plays quietly in the background. Someone walks past the door. Their shadow stretches across the carpet. You feel safe. You feel seen. But as quickly as it arrives, the scene dissolves again. You lift your hand from the page. That was real, wasn't it? Maybe, maybe not. Researchers studying the neuroscience. Bive memory once discovered something strange. The hippocampus. The brain's memory center doesn't just store facts, it stores spatial relationships. That means memories are often tied to locations, to the geometry of space. That's why you can remember your grandmother's kitchen when you smell cinnamon, or recall a conversation just by returning to the street where it happened. Some dreamed. Theorists believe this is why so many dreams take place in elaborate buildings, labyrinths, or endless rooms. The brain is trying to place scattered fragments of memory into coherent space, building a mental architecture to sort the unsortable. The library is one such space. It rebuilds itself nightly. From the dust and fragments, your waking mind drops behind. It is not precise. It doesn't follow your logic. It follows your associations, emotion before sequence, sensation before fact. And that's what makes it so strange. You move to another desk. This one holds a mirror, small and round. You pick it up. It doesn't show your current face. It shows something younger, but only just. A version of you that still remembers something you've forgotten. There's a flicker behind the eyes, as if the reflection knows a secret it's not ready to share. You set the mirror down gently. A breeze stirs the pages of the books around you. Though no windows are open, somewhere deep in the structure, something else shifts. A wall slides inward. A hallway stretches longer than it should. The library continues remaking itself in real time. This is where your dreaming mind works, quietly, tirelessly, stitching, deleting, layering meaning onto moments. Some of those meanings you'll never know. Some of them will show up days later when you walk past a certain scent or hear a certain song, and suddenly feel the edge of something you can't explain. There's a quiet fact here one researchers still puzzle over. Dreams have memory, but not always your conscious kind. In sleep, your brain reactivates the neural patterns associated with old experiences, even ones you don't remember. You may have forgotten what you learned 10 years ago, but your dreams didn't, in some way. They're still reprocessing that data, tying it to feelings, reshaping it into metaphor, letting it echo until it's either useful or ready to fade. And sometimes it never fades. You pass a wall in the library where names are written, not legibly, but as impressions. Some are smudged, some upside down, some repeating. You recognize one, even though you can't say it out loud. It hums against your chest like a tuning fork. You try not to touch it, but your hand moves anyway. A door slides open beside the wall. Another room, another possibility. And as you step through, the library seals itself behind you. Not gone, just waiting to rearrange again. You enter a corridor that doesn't seem to end, but it's not dark. The walls are illuminated by a soft, ambient glow that doesn't come from any visible source. It's the kind of light you might remember from a childhood memory, not the actual brightness of the moment, but the way it felt lit in your mind. Warm, filtered, dreamlike. The corridor narrows slightly as you walk, and though the floor is solid, you begin to hear faint sounds beneath it. Not footsteps, not voices. Something subtler, like sighs caught in distant rooms, or pages being turned somewhere far below, where old thoughts rest. These are the whispers left by the day. Dreams are never built from nothing. They scavenge, they collect. Every idle glance, every background sound, every stray sentence you heard, but didn't register. Your brain picks them up and stores them. Not neatly, not alphabetically, just there, like static in the margins of consciousness. And when you fall asleep, those pieces resurface. Here, in this long hallway, they live again, not as memories, but as impressions. A stranger's laugh you heard at a cafe becomes the giggle of by a figure behind a door. The song playing in a passing car morphs into a tune your grandmother might have hummed once. By a word someone said under their breath at the grocery store. almost floats now like a bubble in the air ahead of you. You pass through it. It bursts silently. That's how dreams work. They speak a language made of almosts. Psychologists call this day residue, the small, unimportant fragments of daily life that become ingredients for your dreams. But not just as filler. Sometimes they combine in ways that offer new insight, or strange emotions, or eerie parallels. A soft hum draws you forward. It's not mechanical. It sounds biological. The low-frequency vibration of thoughts being recycled. You reach a bend in the corridor and notice the walls have become lined with narrow slits. From each, something faint leaks out. Not light, but memory. You place by your hand. Near one dot, an image flutters into your mind. A hallway filled with lockers. You're reaching for one, but it won't open. You don't feel frustration, just the vague awareness that this is something important, something you meant to do, a task undone, and then it's gone. Dream researchers have found that incomplete tasks and unresolved thoughts are more likely to appear in dreams. The brain tags them, marks them as unfinished business. They rise at night not because your mind enjoys haunting you, but because sleep is where your neural housekeeping takes place. The corridor begins to shift. Its lines waver, like heat off pavement. You walk slower now, noticing that the floor tiles are becoming uneven, subtly warped, like they were designed by someone trying to reconstruct them from memory. On one tile, a single letter is etched, R. You kneel to look at it more closely, and for a split second, your mind fills with a name. But it slips away before you can catch it. Still, something stirs in you, a mild ache, like you've just passed the spot where someone once waited for. Tow you, a long time ago. The corridor ends at a door, thin, wooden, slightly ajar. You push it open with your fingertips. Inside is a room you do not recognize, and yet, somehow, you've dreamt of it before. The wallpaper peels in places, but not from age. More like memory shedding skin. A window looks out onto a street that doesn't exist. The table in the center holds objects you know in the way you know how to blink automatically, wordlessly. A broken wristwatch. A fork with one bent tine, a pale photograph, faded beyond identification. But when you hold it, your heart remembers something your head does not. You sit down, the walls breathe again, just slightly dot, and something remarkable happens. From one of the drawers in the table, a voice begins speaking, not out loud. Not with words, but through feeling. A message, soft and persistent, rising into your chest. You didn't forget. You simply placed it somewhere softer. This is what some neuroscientists call memory reconsolidation. The process by which each time we recall something, we reshape it. We don't pull the past out like a photo from a drawer. We rebuild it from fragments. And in the process, sometimes things shift. Sometimes details soften. Sometimes whole events disappear. But they don't die. They become whispers, and dreams are how you listen. You lie back in a chair that wasn't there a moment ago. It cradles you perfectly. Your body exhales, even though you didn't realize you were holding your breath. From somewhere nearby, a clock ticks, but not in a way that marks time, more like it's counting heartbeats or holding space. You begin to notice something else now. Some of the whispers aren't yours. Some come from people who brushed against your life only briefly. A teacher you had for 2 weeks. A stranger who once held the door. Someone you saw cry on a train and never forgot. Their voices to leave traces. And in your dreams, they sometimes speak again. Sleep researchers have long debated whether these appearances, these cameos, are random firings of neurons, or if they represent some emotional encoding that resists decay. The truth is still unclear, but the frequency of such moments suggests something important. Not everything forgotten is lost. You drift. The room is fading. The table, the window, the chair. Not gone, just gently closing, like a book that's been read enough for one night. You rise somewhere behind your shoulder. The whisper of almost returns. But this time, it's followed by the softest suggestion of enough, and you keep walking. The hallway narrows behind you, but you don't turn back. In dreams, you rarely do. What fades behind you is never quite gone, just quiet, like a room with the lights dimmed, waiting to be remembered again. Ahead, something opens. It's not a doorway this time, but a shift in atmosphere. The air becomes cooler, crisper, like the moment before snow. You feel it first on your skin, then deeper in your thoughts. Not cold, exactly, just still, as if even time is holding its breath. You step into a room that has no clocks, no ticking hands, no digital glow, no sense of minutes or hours. The walls seem to stretch endlessly outward, but when you try to measure the distance, your brain refuses. It doesn't want to quantify. It wants to drift. You've been here before, not this exact room, maybe. Bet this feeling. A dream where you're walking through an airport with no flights, or a school that doesn't have classrooms, or a hotel lobby where the elevators never open. That strange, floating sensation where time has no anchor. This, too, is the room where the forgotten gathers. At first, you think it's empty, but then you notice them. Tiny objects scattered on the floor like breadcrumbs. A worn shoelace, a plastic ring, a paper ticket half torn. None of them feel important, but as you move among them, you feel a hum rising in your chest. Recognition. Without story. The brain, it turns out, stores more than just what happened. It stores how it felt. Some researchers call these episodic fragments, flashes of experience that didn't form into full memories, but still exist in the neural dust. You crouch beside a marble. It's deep blue, almost black, with a single silver swirl frozen inside. You pick it up. Immediately, an emotion washes through you, swift and unplaceable. Not joy, not grief, something in between. You feel it in your ribs, a pressure, a weight, then it's gone. You put the marble down slowly, and just like that, the room begins to respond. The walls shimmer faintly. Faint outlines emerge, as if drawn in charcoal. Door frames, corners, a chair, the edge of a window that looks out onto nothing. But they aren't solid. They flicker when you don't look directly at them. The room is building itself around your sense of memory. Not accurate memory, but emotional memory. The kind that lingers even after the details vanish. You walk forward and find a table, long and low, like in a forgotten dining hall. On it rests a photograph, no faces, just a path through a wooded area, golden light slanting between trees. You stare at it. Somewhere you've walked this path before, maybe in childhood, maybe only in your dreams. One quiet theory in neuroscience suggests that time perception in dreams doesn't match real time. Not because dreams are faster or slower, but because they're compressed. The brain replays long sequences in seconds. That's why a whole conversation, a whole journey, can seem to unfold in a blink, because it's not bound by the external rhythm of time, but by the internal rhythm of meaning. You keep staring, pit the photo, and suddenly your breath catches a shadow in the corner, a figure, dot. It's small, distant, blurred at the edges, but your body recognizes it. Not a person, perhaps, but a presence. Someone who used to wait for you. The figure does not move. It doesn't need to. Its existence is enough to make the moment ache. You look away, and as you do, the photograph vanishes. You don't try to bring it back. That's not how this room works. The objects here are gifts. They come when they're needed, and they leave, just as gently, like thoughts that no longer demand attention. The sound in the room has changed. Or maybe your awareness of it has. There's a soft chime, distant, irregular, like wind moving through hollow stones. Follow it, past a wall that flickers like fog lit by candlelight dot. Another door appears. This one is very old, wooden, weathered, with no knob. Just a slight push is enough to open it. You step through, and suddenly you are on a train. Not a modern one, not quite. It feels older, like the memory of a train from a film you have remembered. The seats are velvet. The windows are too fogged to see through. But you know it's moving. The train car is empty, except for one seat. Near the end, on it, someone sits with their back to you. You move forward slowly, not out of fear, but reverence. But before you can reach the figure, the lights dim. The car grows darker. The windows pulse with a faint golden glow, not from outside, but from memory. They begin to show flickers of scenes, like old film reels. Playgrounds, stairwells, beaches. At dusk, faces you almost know. Then, nothing. The figure stands and walks out through a door you didn't see. You don't follow, because what you were meant to see has already passed through you. Dream researchers often describe these experiences as liminal dreams. Dreams where you're between moments, between identities, between stories. They don't resolve. They don't conclude. They exist in thresholds. The feeling of walking toward something and knowing it will vanish just before you reach it. This is one of those dreams. You find a seat. You sit. The train moves without sound, and you begin to feel yourself softening again, becoming less concerned with shape, less fixed in self. You look out through the fogged window, and for a moment, just one, you remember something you didn't even know you lost. The train slows, though you never feel it stop. There is no screech, no jolt, no announcement. Only the sense that motion has yielded to stillness, and the landscape outside, still blurred, still indistinct, has grown quiet in a new way. Not the quiet of departure, the quiet of arrival. And yet you aren't sure where you are. You stand. The car behind you is gone. You don't even look for it. There's only what's in front of you now, a narrow platform, lit by a single amber lantern. No station, no sign, just a gently curving path ahead, lined with trees that look sketched in charcoal and dusted in starlight. You follow the path. It winds without purpose. That's how you know it's a dream. Real roads try to take you somewhere. Dream roads just keep you walking. The trees murmur as you pass. No wind, just memory brushing against memory. Leaves made of paper. Branches that split like sentences. You arrive at a clearing dot at the center, a circle of stones, each the size of a small chair. They're warm when you touch them, as if the sun only recently left. One of them has a small carving near its base, the letter S, drawn in a child's hand. The rest are unmarked, worn smooth by years you don't remember having lived. You sit on the stone. This is the island of almost dash, remembering dot. It's not a real island, of course. You're not surrounded by water, only by space, vast and soft and slightly vibrating, like the space between sleep and waking, or between two lines in a poem. This island exists inside that gap. Things gather here, not the memories you've lost entirely. Those are kept elsewhere. No, this is where the nearly forgotten come to rest. The ones you sense more than see. The names on the edge of your tongue. The smells you almost identify. The moments you carry like pebbles in your pocket, long after forgetting how they got there. One of those pebbles rests at your feet now. You pick it up. It's warm, heavy for its size. As you hold it, your mind opens to an image, a dusty living room, a clock ticking too loudly, someone's shoes by the door. The smell of oranges. There's a name associated with this. You can feel the shape of it in your mouth, but it never comes, and still your heart recognizes it. This is the strange kindness of dreams. They let you feel what your mind can no longer name. The brain, in its dreaming state, doesn't need language to validate memory. It uses emotion. It uses sensation. It allows you to visit without understanding. You rise and begin to walk the circle. Each stone has something beneath it, not visible, but felt. You step near one, and suddenly a melody fills your ears. 5 or 6 notes only. They repeat softly. A lullaby. A ringtone, you can't tell, but your body leans into it like an old habit. You once knew this song by heart, and then it's gone. Under another stone, a texture, the crisp weight of autumn leaves beneath another, a color so precise, so specific, a particular blue you once loved but never knew how to describe. These aren't memories the way people think of them. These are emotional residues. The last trace of something before it vanishes completely, and science has a name for this. 2. Implicit memory. It's the kind of memory that doesn't require conscious recall. It allows you to ride a bike after years away. It makes you flinch at a sound your brain no longer identifies as threatening, simply because it once was. Implicit memory lingers in your muscles, your gut, your breath. It's not what you remember. It's what your body remembers for you. And sometimes, dreams give it back. You complete the circle and return to your stone. Now, in the center of the clearing, something has appeared. A child, or rather, the shape of one, not distinct, not identifiable, but somehow familiar. The outline is soft, flickering, like the ghost of a memory that never solidified. They sit cross-legged, hands in their lap, as if waiting for you. You don't speak, you don't need to. They smile, and suddenly, your eyes fill with the warmth of something you hadn't realized you missed. Not a person, not a place, but a version of yourself. One that once dreamed freely. One that never worried about forgetting because they hadn't yet learned that forgetting was possible. The child reaches out, offers you something it's not. An object, it's a feeling. A moment of absolute presence. Of being exactly where you are, with no need for explanation. You take it, you hold it, and when you open your hand, there's nothing there, and yet you feel fuller than before. Researchers still don't fully understand why dreams return us to childhood so often, or why places we haven't seen in decades feel more vivid in dreams than in waking memory. Some suggest that it's because early experiences form the emotional architecture of the brain, and sleep is when the mind wanders that old foundation, checking for cracks, or just remembering how it was built. You watch the child stand and walk away. They fade gently into the air, as though they were never separate from it. The stones begin to hum, softly, harmoniously, like a chord made from silence. You leave the clearing, and as you walk once more into the trees, a name returns, not spoken, just known. You won't be able to say it when you wake up, but for now, you carry it with you. You walk until the path forgets it is a path. It simply dissolves beneath you, not with drama, not with warning. One moment there is a thread to follow, and the next there is only terrain. Uneven, soft, like walking across layers of thought before they've formed into language. The sky overhead isn't quite night, and it isn't quite morning either. It's that in-between hour, the color of half-brewed tea and dusky lavender. A color that feels familiar in a way you can't trace. Perhaps from a dream you had once as a child, or a painting you glimpsed in passing and never saw again, or a story someone told you just before you fell asleep. A story you never heard. The end of . And now you are living in that ending. There is a building, ahead. At first, it looks like a library, then like a chapel, then a schoolroom. It changes shape as you near it, not because it is shifting, but because your memory cannot decide what it once was to you. Eventually, it settles into a form that feels correct. A small house, pale blue siding, white trim, a front porch with a swing that creaks even though there's no wind. This is where the forgotten sleep, not the memories that were taken from you, not the ones you buried, but the ones you allowed to drift. The ordinary ones, the background days, the quiet afternoons, the routines, the little shreds of living that didn't seem important at the time. But here, they are tended. You open the door. Inside, it smells like dust and something sweet, not sugar, more like warmth that has settled into old fabric. There are no people, only presence. The room is full, not with things, but with echoes. If you listen carefully, you can hear your own footsteps from another year, crossing this very floor, even though you're certain you've never been here before. And on the far wall, shelves not full of books, full of jars, each labeled with a word or two, in handwriting that seems to shift if you look at it too long. Some of the jars are empty. Some contain small, glittering particles, like light that got caught mid. One holds the smell of your childhood kitchen. Another holds the sound of your grandmother's voice, not saying anything, just humming. These are sensory relics, bits of memory that survived because your body decided they mattered even when your mind did not. You lift a jar. It reads, Tuesday afternoon. You unscrew the lid, and for a moment, you're somewhere else, sitting in the back seat of a car, watching rain on the window, a song playing low on the radio. There's no plot, no importance, just a feeling. I was here. I lived this. I was whole in that moment, even if I never noticed. Then it fades. The jar is empty again. You place it back gently. There is a chair by the window. You sit. The cushion knows your shape, though you've never seen it before. Outside, the world is still, and inside, your breath slows. Dreams like this, the ones filled with objects and spaces and sensory pieces, may not mean anything in the traditional sense. There's no story arc, no resolution, no moral. But researchers studying episodic memory consolidation have found that dreams often reflect the mind's attempt to knit together experiences that haven't found a home, be it fragments of the day that got lost in the shuffle. It's like your brain is laying out puzzle pieces on the floor, not to solve them, but just to admire their shapes in the corner of the room. A soft glow begins. It comes not from a lamp or a window, but from the air itself, as if the forgotten things are waking gently in your presence. And then you hear it, a voice not your own, but younger, sleepier, speaking from a time when you used to talk to yourself before bed, just to keep the dark company. The voice says, "Don't forget to remember me." It's not a plea, not a warning, just a reminder, gentle and familiar, that every version of you is still somewhere, hoping to be noticed again. And here, in this dream, they are. You close your eyes in the chair and let the room wrap around you as the house fades. It leaves you not with answers, but with a softness, a knowing that no memory is truly gone if you've ever loved it, even a little, especially the ones you didn't realize were worth loving until now. You awaken, but not in the way you expect, not with a jolt, not with the disorienting shift of returning to a body. Instead, it's like being passed gently from one dream to another. You are lying in a small boat, drifting down a narrow river, through a forest that doesn't quite belong to any particular continent. The trees are tall, their roots exposed like ancient fingers, dipping lazily into the water. Ferns curl in fractal patterns. Fireflies blink in a rhythm that feels ... meaningful ... and above. The sky glows not with stars, but with soft points of memory, like constellations drawn not of light, but of moments you almost forgot. A staircase you used to climb. The laugh of someone you've lost. The weight of a favorite coat. The way your name sounded when whispered by someone who loved you. Each one sparkles, then fades. The boat rocks gently, like it knows the pace your nervous system needs to feel safe. And the current asks nothing of you. It does not pull or push. It simply moves, slowly, as if the water itself is dreaming you. And perhaps it is you pass beneath a bridge. On its underside are words etched into the stone, but they change each time you blink. Sometimes they form quotes you almost remembered. Sometimes they're lyrics you hummed without knowing the source. Once, the words say, "You are not the sum of your thoughts, but the space they echo in." You whisper it aloud, and the air absorbs it, as if it's collecting your voice to save for later, to file it among the other forgotten things waiting to be remembered further along. The river narrows, and you find yourself approaching a mirror, suspended above the water. It's not made of glass, it's made of stillness. When you look into it, you do not see your face. You see your attention, the way your focus flickers like candlelight in wind, the way your presence stretches itself too thin in the waking world. You see how much of your daily life you rush past, and how many thoughts you hold at once, trying to be everywhere, trying to remember everything. But here, in the dream river, all of that falls away. You realize dreams like this aren't designed to entertain or explain. They're designed to decelerate. Neuroscientists studying default mode networks have discovered that when you enter deep relaxation or early stages of sleep, your brain begins connecting dots between unrelated memories, ideas, impressions. It builds strange bridges, not always logical ones, but bridges nonetheless. That's what this river is. That's what this moment is. A soft, drifting bridge between fragments. Some true, some false, some imagined, all meaningful in their own quiet way. You pass beneath another arch, this time woven from branches and shadow. Carvings line the wood, and you realize these are scripts. Scripts from lives you didn't live, choices you didn't make, But dreams remember even those, the versions of you that could have been. If one thing had gone differently, they don't haunt. They simply exist here, waiting to be acknowledged. And as you drift, the forest begins to hum. It's not music, not really. It's more like the sound of everything you once knew distilled. The hush of a classroom after everyone has gone. The clatter of silverware in a childhood kitchen. The chirp of a summer insect in a moment you never thought to cherish. You're not sad. You're not euphoric. You're simply aware. This is the kind of dream that doesn't end. Not with a door closing, not with an alarm, but with a sensation soft, as breath, the feeling of remembering something just before it slips away again. The river begins to widen now, and ahead you see a shore. Bet you're not in a hurry, because this isn't the part of the story where you wait. This is the part where you rest deeper. The boat slows, and your eyes flutter in the dream. The stars above no longer sparkle. They breathe, expanding, contracting, in sync with you. You are not a traveler here. You are part of the landscape. And just before the section fades into the next, you hear a voice, not external, not internal, but something in between. Say gently, what you forget is not lost. It only waits for the right dream to be found. Again, and you smile without knowing why. Just a reflex of the soul recognizing something it needed to hear. The boat does not dock. It simply dissolves not into the water, but into possibility. One moment you are floating, the next you are walking, but your feet do not touch the ground. They hover slightly above a path of moss and stardust, which glows faintly beneath each step. The forest has changed. It's taller now, quieter. Time here doesn't pass, it listens. You are being led, not by a figure, not by a sound, but by curiosity itself. There's a gravity to it, a gentle pull, like the way you follow a forgotten smell that reminds you of childhood, or the way a half-remembered name teases the edge of your mind until you whisper it in the dark. That kind of pull. Ahead, the forest opens into a clearing, and in the center, floating above a pool of perfectly still water, is a library, but not like the ones you've seen before. This library has no walls, no shelves. It is made entirely of memories, orbiting gently like planets around a central sun, a pulsing core of thought, wrapped in warm light. You realize this is the library of forgotten things, but not the painful kind of forgetting, not trauma, not suppression. This is gentle forgetting, the kind that makes room, the kind that soothes. Here float the names of streets you walked once and never remembered again. Here lie the dreams you had as a child, the ones you never told anyone. Here are the voices, of loved ones, preserved in tones you haven't heard in years. You step forward, and a memory floats to meet you. It's small, glowing softly. You don't recognize it at first. Then, like a scent on the wind, it returns. You, at the age of 5, hiding under a table during a storm. Your hands over your ears, and a voice, your mother's, or maybe someone else's, humming a tune. No words, just hum, repeating, rocking you into calm. You never thought to remember it, but now that you do, it changes something. Your shoulders relax, even in the dream. Your breath deepens. Your nervous system, that ancient and cautious guardian, recognizes safety. From the edge of the pool, a shape emerges. Not a person, not a creature, but a concept given form. It looks a little like a cloak made of fog and feathers, and it speaks without sound. Would you like to leave something here? It asks, not aloud, but directly into your thoughts. And you understand, this is not only a place for retrieval, it's a place for release. So you think of something you've been carrying for too long. Maybe it's a regret. Maybe it's the weight of perfectionism. Maybe it's the way you replay old conversations, hoping to say it better this time. Whatever it is, you take it gently in your hands, here in this lucid, liquid dream, and offer it to the glowing being. It accepts it wordlessly, and as it floats away, dissolving into light, you feel your inner landscape shift. You have made room for rest, room for dreams, room for the unspoken truths to breathe again. Suddenly, from the swirling orbits of the memory library, another vision drifts forward, not a moment from your life, but an image that feels archetypal, a spiral staircase descending endlessly into calm. Each step emits a different tone, like notes on a lullaby. Only your unconscious mind knows how to play. You step onto the first one, and you descend. With every step, your muscles unwind just a little more. With every note, your thoughts soften further. Science has shown that during certain sleep states, particularly hypnagogia, that brief borderland between waking and dreaming, the brain is highly receptive to associative imagery. That's why so many inventions, songs, and poems are birthed in half-sleep. The logical mind loosens its grip. The symbolic mind takes over. You descend further. Each step down is a release. Of expectation, of tension, of who you think you have to be. By the time you reach the bottom, you are no longer you in the rigid waking sense. You are fluid. You are dream-shaped. You are the version of yourself that remembers without trying. And in the silence at the bottom of the spiral, a final memory greets you. A room, candlelit, warm, quiet. A table, a book, and in it, handwritten in the script, only your dreams. No is the phrase. You have always been more than what you remember. You rest your hand on the book, not to read, just to feel the truth of it vibrate into your palm. And somewhere far above, in the waking world, your physical body turns, slightly in sleep, breathing a little deeper, because you are not just sleeping now, you are remembering how to rest. You sit in the candlelit room of memory, or maybe you're lying down now. It's hard to tell. Time has grown horizontal, no longer a line, but a soft horizon stretching in every direction. You could walk it if you wanted, but instead you choose to float. The space supports you like warm water, or like the fabric of a lullaby stretched between stars. You notice now that the book, the one with your dreams written in it, is not alone. All around the room, gently pulsing with golden breath, are by other books too. Some thick and ancient, some slim and whispering. Some have no pages at all, just sensations, a laugh, the texture of old sunlight, the way someone once said your name when they thought you weren't listening. These are collective dreams, not just yours, but dreams passed through time. A scientist once said that dreams are the brain's way of sorting and integrating memory, a neurological housekeeping. But that's only part of the story, because dreams don't just remember the past, they reshape it, they renegotiate it. You float toward one of the glowing, unreadable books. As you do, your body hums with a sensation like déjà vu, wrapped in kindness. A forgotten feeling, but not a forgotten event. Something older than any of your personal stories. You begin to understand this is ancestral memory. Dreams you didn't live but inherited. The fear of thunder long before your first storm. The comfort of fire long before your first match. The echo of lullabies sung in languages you do not speak. Your breath slows. Again, because this is where even science meets myth, and both nod in agreement. Neurologically, sleep cleans the brain. It clears metabolic waste through the glymphatic system, like a night janitor with a gentle mop. Psychologically, it recalibrates mood, rebuilds emotional resilience, and helps store long-term memory. But mythologically, sleep is a journey into the underworld of the self, a descent and return, a place where symbols roam and healing is non-linear. You drift now, not walking, not floating, but simply being carried. The candlelight dims, but not into darkness, into something softer, like the inside of a shell, like the moment just before a song begins. And from somewhere, nowhere, you hear a sound. It's faint at first, but distinct. The sound of pages turning, even though you're no longer near any books. Then the sound of water dripping, slow and hollow, like the belly of a cave. Then a voice, but not speaking in words. Not yet. It is the tone of someone remembering something precious. Someone sitting beside you in silence, allowing their presence to speak what language cannot. And then, like music finding its way through a fog, you hear it. You're allowed to let go. The voice doesn't demand. It invites. You don't have to remember it all to be whole. You don't have to carry it all to be worthy. You don't have to be anything but resting. And you realize this is your own voice, aged and softened. Your future self, speaking back through the corridors of sleep. They do not appear. They do not need to. They are simply here, holding space, watching over the version of you who still clutches old memories like stones. You begin to release them, one by one. They float upward like lanterns. Your regrets, your overanalyzed moments, your stories that never needed an ending. You let them go because you are safe here. Because your nervous system believes it now. Because sleep is not just a closing down, it's a becoming. And as the space around you continues to soften, not into black, but into blush, fog, breath, you find yourself gently forgetting again. But now it's a different kind of forgetting. It's the kind that doesn't erase. It makes room. You lie still, not because you're trapped, because you are finally at peace and far above. If one could see the waking world from here, your sleeping body is calm, breathing slow, heart steady, muscles relaxed. The science of this would show theta waves rising, your brain dropping into a state of liminality, your memories sorting themselves quietly. But here, in this dream, you do not need science. You are the subject, not the data. You are the story, not the summary. And the dream continues to hold you gently, eternally, until even this narration becomes a whisper, and then nothing but breath. There is no boundary between one dream and the next dot, just as waves do not end. They fold into each other, reshaping the shore, and so you find yourself drifting from that candlelit space into something deeper, quieter, even more unnameable. Not pour a room now, not even a place, but a texture, a kind of soft infinity that wraps around you like the last warmth before sleep forgets. It's even happening. This is not about memory anymore. It's about unmemory. The sacred art of letting the mind be unwitnessed. In this space, your thoughts do not form as language. They drift like mist, shapeless, tender, and slow. You become aware, dimly, distantly, that this is the phase scientists call non-REM stage 3, the deep sleep, the kind that restores the body and washes the brain, where synaptic pruning bursts, where growth hormone is released, where the day's chaos is gently composted into calm. But none of this matters to you right now, because right now you are not thinking. You are simply resting within something ancient and maternal. There are no dreams here, not yet, only rhythms, like the rhythm of your own lungs, rising and falling like the tide, like the pulse of your blood, moving slowly through a vascular cathedral of silence. And as your nervous system reweaves itself in the dark, you sense not with your mind, but with something older, that you are not alone. Something is watching over you, but not in the way the waking world watches, not with evaluation or expectation. No, this is a different gaze. The way a forest watches, the way the moon listens, the way your bones remember things your brain never told them. And in this rhythm, this sacred stillness, you begin to understand. You are being cradled by the universe itself. You, the thinker of thoughts. You, the collector of regrets. You, the temporary story told in carbon and electricity. You are safe. And now, gently, so gently, the dream begins to return. But this one is not narrative. It's symbolic. Not a story with a beginning and end, but a feeling, a sequence of textures and intuitions. You're walking, or maybe floating, through a corridor of slowly turning mirrors. Each one reflects not your face, but your feelings. Not what you look like, but what your soul carries. One mirror shimmers with joy you forgot to feel. One flickers with an old sorrow you've long outgrown. One glows with a love you gave without knowing it was enough. And as you move past each, they do not haunt you, they release you. This is the gift of the dreaming brain. It does not need your permission to heal. It simply does the work softly while you rest. The corridor begins to dim, not from light fading, but from your need for it lessening. You are descending not down, but inward, deeper now, where even dreams don't use pictures, just impressions, echoes, vibrations. You are becoming less and more at the same time, less of the burdened self, more of the eternal one. And finally, you reach a place, or perhaps it reaches you, where nothing needs to be said, remembered, or explained. A space of pure is-ness, no name, no goal, just the sacred stillness that lives beneath all dreams. You do not need to hold on to it, because it is holding you, and so you rest, more deeply than you have in years, until the night itself sighs around you, and all that remains is a quiet, ongoing hum. Like a lullaby, the stars sing to the atoms of your body. You are not dreaming now. You are becoming the dream, and the dream is peace. You are not sure how long you've floated in this softness. Time, in this dream place, behaves like fog. It drifts, swirls, vanishes when you try to grasp it. There are no clocks here, only the slow turning of awareness, like a great wheel, moving through water, and now the wheel turns again. You sense it before it arrives, a gentle stirring, like a breeze, passing through a curtain. Not an ending, a shift. Something in you begins to rise, not with urgency, but with curiosity, like a seed sensing spring. You are still in the dream, but the dream is changing shape. It is remembering you, just as you are beginning to remember. Faint sounds emerge, not voices, but the echoes of language, not words, but meanings. They come in pulses, in dreams within dreams. And now, before you, appears a small, glowing figure. You cannot quite see its form, but it radiates familiarity. It carries the feeling of an old memory, one you never made, and yet somehow always had. You don't speak. You don't need to dot. The figure places something in your hands. It's weightless, but heavy. It's invisible, but deeply known. You look down, and you remember. You remember the name of a friend you lost in childhood, the smell of your grandmother's garden after rain, the song you hummed before you had words. These memories are not here to haunt you. They've come to rest with you, to say, you've carried us well. You may let go now, and so you do. The glowing figure nods, not as goodbye, but as blessing. It steps backward into the light, and the dream shifts once more. Now you're in a field, or a feeling of a field. The sky is neither day nor night. It's the color of exhale. Around you, wind moves through tall grasses. They whisper things, too quiet for waking ears. And then you feel it, a sense of completion, of a circle drawn with invisible ink, now becoming visible in the soft light of your sleeping heart. You understand. in a way that doesn't need understanding. That this entire dream, all of it, was not random. It was your mind healing itself, tidying, restoring, reuniting you with lost parts of your being. This is what science still struggles to explain about dreaming. That it is not just data cleanup. It is soul maintenance. It is where your unconscious rewrites the story, so you can wake up with a little less weight to carry. You lie down in the field, or maybe you dissolve into it, and the stars begin to come out, one by one, each one blinking, open like a forgotten wish returning. There is no need to go further. You are exactly where you need to be. No more searching, no more striving. Just this moment, endlessly unfolding within you. And in that quiet infinity, you feel the final truth of the night, that what you have forgotten has not forgotten you. It lives in your breath, in your bones, in your dreams, and tonight, in this gentle voyage through science and sleep, you have come home to it. You have come home to yourself. Sleep now. You are safe, and everything is remembering you. There is a hush now, so deep and full that it feels less like silence and more like listening. Listening to you, not the you of today's tasks and yesterday's worries, but the deeper self beneath it all. The one who remembers how to be still, how to drift, how to float inside a thought without needing to finish it. You are no longer in a dream exactly, but neither are you fully awake. You are in the between, a sacred space few people visit with awareness. Science has a name for it. The hypnagogic state, a threshold where waking thoughts dissolve into dream logic, where the brain dances between alpha and theta rhythms. It's here that artists see visions, that inventors discover answers to questions they didn't know they were asking. It's where the self becomes more fluid, more porous, more real in ways logic cannot explain. And tonight you are resting in that space, not demanding answers, not chasing clarity, just letting yourself be carried. The wind from the field is gone now, replaced by something even gentler, a warmth. It has no source you can name. It simply is. Like the comfort of someone holding your hand in a dream. Like a melody you never heard, but always knew how to hum. You feel your breath slow. The space between each inhale grows longer. Each exhale becomes a soft goodbye to a thought you don't need anymore. Your body, this quiet ship, is fully adrift. Now, no tension in the sails, no compass to follow, and that's the miracle. There is nowhere to get to. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not lacking. Everything you were looking for has already found you. Even the questions you've buried about who you are, why you forget whether your dreams mean anything, have been answered in the only way that truly matters, by being felt, not solved, by being held, not handled. Outside this trance of story and sleep, the world continues its spinning. The cells in your body continue their perfect work. The stars burn, the tides shift, the brain, ever faithful, stores just enough of this moment to nourish tomorrow, and the rest becomes dream stuff again, returned to the great archive, put of forgetting. But forgetting, as you've now learned, is not a flaw. It is a kindness, a softening, a grace that makes room for becoming. And so you rest, not because you're weak, but because you are finally strong enough to let go. The narration slows now, not because the story ends, but because it continues inside you, in your breath, in the echoes of memory, in the soft chambers of your sleeping heart. Sleep is no longer a descent. It's a rising, a return, a reunion with everything that holds you. So sleep now. Sleep without resistance. Sleep with wonder. Let the night carry you. Let your dreams remember for you. Let go and let everything you are be enough. Because it is. It always was. Good night. And now you can drift. Let the story dissolve like morning mist. If your mind still wanders, let it. If your breath is slow, stay with it. You don't need to hold on to anything now. Your body remembers how to rest. Your dreams remember what you've forgotten. Thank you for listening, for trusting this gentle space. I'll be here again whenever you return. Until then, good night. Sleep deep, sleep soft, sleep well.